Have you ever experienced a moment so shattering it changed the course of your entire life? One day you have everything: a loving husband, a beautiful home, the imminent arrival of your children, and the next, you're cast out, alone, holding onto nothing but hope and the precious lives growing inside you. This is not just a story about a lie. It's about the long, arduous journey back from the brink, the unexpected paths to healing, and the astonishing power of love to rebuild what was utterly destroyed. Prepare to witness a testament to resilience, a father's desperate search for redemption, and a family's fight to reclaim their future, stronger and more connected than ever before. The late afternoon sun dipped low over the Miami horizon, casting long stretching shadows across the city and painting Biscayne Bay with breathtaking strokes of orange, pink, and gold. It was a picture of serene beauty outside, a stark and cruel contrast to the storm rapidly gathering within the sleek, minimalist luxury apartment that Emily Carter and James Harper called home. The air, thick with the humid heat of August in South Florida, felt heavy, suffocating. Emily, 30 years old, possessed a warm, inviting olive complexion, framed by long, wavy brown hair that often cascava around her shoulders. Her eyes, a gentle, knowing brown, held a quiet depth, a reflection of both strength and a deep capacity for tenderness. At 7 months pregnant, her belly was a prominent, beautiful curve, a constant, physical reminder of the 3 lives growing within her: Michael, Peter, and Lucas. Her hands, usually busy with the delicate work of a landscape designer, often rested on her swollen abdomen, feeling the faint, fluttering kicks of her unborn sons, each movement a reaffirmation of the future she and James were so carefully building. James, her husband of 5 years, was 35, a software engineer, whose face, usually tanned from weekends spent outdoors, was etched with the lines of stress and preoccupation. His short brown hair was neatly trimmed, his beard a precise frame for a mouth that could speak with both sharp intellect and surprising tenderness. He was, or had been, Emily's anchor, the ambitious, driven partner whose quiet determination mirrored her own. Together they felt unstoppable, a team building a life, a family, a future in the vibrant heart of Miami. But on this particular evening in August 2018, in the deceptively peaceful setting of their apartment overlooking the bay, that carefully constructed bond shattered, dissolving under the corrosive weight of a lie so cruel, so meticulously crafted, it could only have been born from a deep-seated malice. The source of this venom was Margaret Harper, James's mother. At 59, Margaret possessed a cool, pale complexion and a severe beauty often marred by a stern demeanor. Her gray hair was invariably pulled back into a tight, unforgiving bun, a physical manifestation of her rigid, controlling nature. Margaret had never approved of Emily. From the moment she met her, she viewed Emily as an outsider, someone whose modest upbringing in Savannah, Georgia, and whose passion for working with soil and nature felt alien to the polished, affluent world of the Harper family in Miami's exclusive Coconut Grove. Emily's down-to-earth practicality and her dreams of sustainable living clashed sharply with Margaret's vision of a sophisticated, high-society daughter-in-law who would effortlessly navigate gala dinners and country club events. Determined to drive an irreparable wedge between her son and the woman she deemed unsuitable, Margaret devised a plan as cunning as it was cruel. She forged a love letter, a carefully crafted imitation of Emily's handwriting, filled with suggestive phrases implying an affair with a colleague named David from Emily's landscaping firm. The letter, a small, seemingly innocuous piece of paper, was deliberately planted in James's briefcase, a place where Margaret knew his meticulous habits would ensure its discovery. That evening, the usual evening soundtrack of Miami, the distant traffic, the rhythmic buzz of cicadas outside, the faint lapping of water against the seawall, seemed muted, overshadowed by an impending silence. City lights began to flicker to life across the bay, painting the darkening sky. James returned home from another long day at TechFlow, the startup he'd co-founded with a college friend. The company was on the cusp of a major breakthrough, a new app promising to revolutionize operations for small businesses. But the, relentless pressure of late nights, demanding investors, and the weight of responsibility had frayed his nerves, leaving him short-tempered and vulnerable. When he opened his briefcase to review a critical contract before an early morning meeting, the forged letter fell out. Its words, simple yet devastating, sliced through him like a cold, sharp blade. David, I can't wait to see you again. James suspects nothing. Meet me at the cafe tomorrow. His hands, usually steady and precise on a keyboard, trembled uncontrollably. As he read, the imagined betrayal igniting a firestorm of furia, hurt, and humiliation that consumed any semblance of calm or reason. He stormed into the living room, the letter clutched in his shaking hand. Emily was there, her belly prominent beneath a loose, comfortable blue dress, meticulously folding tiny baby clothes, a small onesie with ducklings, a pair of minuscule socks, items full of the promise of new life. Emily, what the hell is this? James roared, his voice echoing off the glass walls of their apartment, shattering the fragile peace. He thrust the letter in her face, his eyes blazing. Emily's gentle brown eyes widened in confusion, her hands dropping the tiny garment she held. James, I don't understand. What is this? She stammered, reaching hesitantly for the letter, but he yanked it back, his face contorted with a rage she had never seen before, a mask of pain and accusation. Don't lie to me. Don't you dare lie. You're cheating on me while carrying my children. My children? How could you? His words were a torrent of pain, betrayal, and venom, each one hitting Emily like a physical blow, stealing her breath. She shook her head frantically, tears welling up, her voice trembling and weak as she desperately tried to explain, to make him see the truth. I've never met anyone named David. I don't know any David. James, please, you have to believe me. It's not true. But James was beyond listening, beyond reason. The carefully planted letter, combined with the suffocating stress of TechFlow and his own emotional exhaustion, had pushed him over the edge into a dark, irrational place. He pointed towards the door, his arm rigid, his finger trembling, his voice a low, dangerous growl that sent shivers down Emily's spine. Get out, Emily. Get out now. I can't even look at you. Emily, her body heavy with the weight of her pregnancy, her heart breaking into irreparable pieces, clutched at his sleeve, her sobs tearing through her words. James, I'm pregnant with your children. Our children, don't do this. Please, please, let's talk. We can fix this. But he shook her off roughly, his eyes blazing with a cold fire of perceived betrayal that offered no warmth, no understanding. In the background, near the kitchen entrance, Margaret stood. Her arms were crossed tightly across her chest, a posture of cold observation. A cruel, satisfied smirk played on her pale lips as she watched the scene unfold. Her plan, her malicious masterpiece working perfectly. She adjusted her glasses, her face illuminated by the dim light of the chandelier, her satisfaction a palpable, chilling presence in the room. Emily, her world crumbling around her, stumbled towards the bedroom, tears blinding her vision as she fumbled to pack a black suitcase with trembling hands. She threw in essentials, clothes, the precious ultrasound photos, a small stuffed elephant she'd bought for the triplets, her ragged sobs echoing in the sudden, heavy silence of the apartment. James stood in the doorway, his arms still, crossed. His jaw clenched so tightly his muscles ached, refusing to meet her gaze, refusing to offer a single word of comfort or doubt. Just go, he muttered again, his voice hollow, empty of the love that had once filled it. Emily, 7 months pregnant, her body heavy, her heart aching with a pain more profound than any physical discomfort, dragged the suitcase towards the door, her body shaking uncontrollably with grief and shock. As she stepped into the hallway, the elevator doors closing behind her with a soft mechanical sigh, she felt the full, crushing weight of abandonment settle on her shoulders. The life she had dreamed of, the family she was building, the future she expected, all of it was slipping away, dissolving like mist in the harsh Miami sun. That night, under the vast, indifferent sky, Emily boarded a Greyhound bus. Her black suitcase was beside her, a meager collection of what remained of her life. Her hands instinctively cradled her belly, protecting the precious lives within as she whispered promises to her unborn children, her voice barely audible above the hum of the bus engine. "We'll be okay, my little ones, we'll be okay, I promise." The 12-hour journey to Charleston, South Carolina, was a blur of tears, sleeplessness, and a profound, aching loneliness. The constant drone of the bus was a relentless reminder of the distance growing between her and the life she had known, the man she had loved, the future that had been stolen. Charleston, with its historic charm, its cobblestone streets whispering tales of the past, and the bracing, salty ocean breeze, offered the promise of a fresh start, a chance to disappear and rebuild. But the ache in Emily's heart was a heavy, leaden burden, an anchor that dragged her down. She arrived as dawn broke, the sky over Charleston Harbor painted with soft, hopeful hues of pink and orange. Waiting for her was Sophia Bennett, her childhood friend and rock, a 50-year-old nurse with fair skin, a stylish, practical gray, Bob, and a warm, knowing smile that radiated kindness and unwavering strength. Sophia's home, nestled in the historic Battery District, was an immediate sanctuary. A 2-story house with a welcoming wraparound porch, painted a cheerful, soft yellow, its garden overflowing with the fragrant beauty of magnolias and the vibrant colors of azaleas. "You're not alone, Em," Sophia said, pulling her into a firm, comforting hug that spoke volumes of unspoken support. "We'll get through this, one day at a time. Together." Sophia's voice was steady, a lifeline in the storm that had ravaged Emily's life. In the weeks that followed, Sophia helped Emily navigate the daunting reality of her situation. She helped her settle into the guest room, which they quickly transformed into an improvised yet cozy nursery with borrowed cribs and a sturdy rocking chair Sophia found at a local thrift store. Emily, though profoundly grateful for Sophia's selfless generosity, felt the oppressive weight of her new circumstances. She was without savings, without a job, and with 3 babies on the way, a terrifying responsibility for a single woman. But Sophia's unwavering practical support, bringing home bulk packs of diapers and wipes, cooking hearty, comforting Southern meals like shrimp and grits and cornbread, and singing soft lullabies to soothe Emily's frayed nerves and anxieties, gave her the quiet strength she needed to keep going, to face the daunting, uncertain future head-on. On March 15, 2019, in the hushed, sterile efficiency of a small Charleston hospital delivery room, Emily gave birth to the triplets. The room, though lacking the fanfare of a larger city hospital, was filled with the sound of her labored breaths, the gentle encouragement of the nurses, and the undeniable miracle of new life. Michael arrived first, his fair skin and straight brown hair a subtle, almost painful echo of his father's features, his tiny cry piercing the air, a declaration of his arrival. Peter followed moments later, with the same fair complexion and straight locks, his eyes a deep, warm brown like Emily's. Lucas, the last to be born, shared their fair skin and straight brown hair, his calm demeanor even in the delivery room hinting at the organized, thoughtful nature he would later develop. The boys, each with a slight hint of the olive tone from Emily's heritage visible in their skin, were a bundle of exhausting joy and monumental responsibility. Sophia was there, holding Emily's hand through the final stages of labor, her gray eyes shining with pride and admiration as she whispered, "You did it, Em. Oh my goodness, they are beautiful." The early years in Charleston were a relentless grind, a testament to Emily's quiet strength and determination. Days blurred into nights filled with feedings, diaper changes, and the constant, demanding needs of 3 growing infants. Sleep was a luxury, often fragmented and elusive. Emily took on every small landscaping job she could find, designing and planting gardens for local homeowners and businesses. Her hands, once accustomed to the delicate work of design diagrams, became calloused and strong from digging in the soil, planting resilient roses, lush ferns, and vibrant annuals. She also supplemented their meager income by selling handmade crafts, intricately woven baskets, smooth stones painted with cheerful designs, small pieces of art born from her creative spirit, at a modest stall in the historic Charleston City Market. Her space was simple, often just a table with a handwritten sign that read Emily's Creations, but it was a source of pride and necessary income. The triplets, growing quickly from helpless infants into curious, active toddlers, and then energetic young boys, brought both chaos and immeasurable joy to Sophia's home. Michael, the quiet observer, loved to draw, his crayons leaving vibrant trails of color on any available surface, including sometimes the walls, prompting gentle reminders from Sophia. Peter, the fearless one, was the adventurer, his mischievous grin a prelude to scaling the porch railing or exploring the furthest reaches of Sophia's garden. And Lucas, even at ages 2 and 3, showed an uncanny knack for order, meticulously organizing his toys by size, color, or type, a trait that both amused and impressed Emily and Sophia. Sophia became their unofficial aunt, a beloved constant in their lives, organizing playdates with neighborhood children, teaching them their ABCs and how to count using seashells collected during trips to the nearby beach, and reading them bedtime stories, her voice a comforting presence at the end of long days. Emily's days were long, beginning before dawn and often ending long after dark. Her nights were sleepless, punctuated by the needs of 3 little ones. But she poured every ounce of her love and energy into her sons, a fierce, protective devotion that fueled her. She would sometimes sit on Sophia's porch at dusk, the warm Charleston breeze carrying the scent of salt and blooming flowers, watching the sunset paint the harbor in fiery colors, the triplets finally asleep in their shared room. In those quiet moments, she would whisper to herself, a mantra of survival, a desperate affirmation: "We are enough. Just us. We have to be." But the dull ache of James's absence lingered, a quiet, persistent pain that surfaced in the stillness. In moments of profound loneliness, when the exhaustion allowed cracks to form in her facade of strength, she wondered where he was, if he ever thought of her, if he knew about the boys, if he would ever know the sons he had so easily, so cruelly abandoned. Meanwhile, Sophia, with her practical wisdom and unwavering support, kept her grounded, her no-nonsense attitude a powerful balm to Emily's still healing wounds. "You're stronger than you think you are, Em," Sophia would say, handing her a steaming cup of chamomile tea, her gray bob catching the soft lamplight. "Those boys are your world now. Focus on them. Everything else will follow." Back in Miami, a different kind of unraveling was taking place. James's life, once a picture of ambition and success, was crumbling. Not with the sudden, dramatic force of Emily's expulsion, but in a slow, insidious spiral of professional failure, personal isolation, and a deepening, corrosive regret. The letter Margaret forged, which had so completely convinced him of Emily's betrayal, proved to be an empty, bitter victory. The fleeting triumph of his rage was short-lived, quickly replaced by a hollow emptiness. TechFlow, the startup into which he had poured years of his life, his intellect, his very identity, began to disintegrate under the weight of his distraction, his volatile temper, and his profound inability to focus. He became erratic, short-tempered with colleagues, dismissive of crucial investor concerns. He missed deadlines, alienated his co-founder, and ignored all the flashing red signals of financial distress and impending doom. By late 2019, barely, a year after that terrible night, TechFlow declared bankruptcy. The sleek office in downtown Miami, a symbol of his ambition, was shuttered. The sign above the door was removed, leaving a bare, visible scar that mirrored the wound in James's pride and psyche. The fallout from TechFlow's collapse was swift, brutal, and absolute. James lost everything. His substantial savings, meticulously built over years, were wiped out. His luxury car was repossessed. The beautiful apartment overlooking Biscayne Bay, the symbol of his success and the backdrop to his happiest memories with Emily, was gone. He moved into a cramped, one-bedroom rental unit in Coral Gables. It was a far cry from the life he had known. The paint was peeling, a faucet in the bathroom dripped incessantly, a small, persistent sound in the oppressive silence. The atmosphere was one of neglect and decay, a physical manifestation of James's internal state. Margaret, the architect of his family's misfortune, offered no real comfort or support. Her cold, controlling demeanor was replaced by a strained, feigned concern that rang completely hollow. "You'll rebuild, James," she said during a stilted, tense dinner at her mansion in Coconut Grove, her gray bun as tight and unyielding as her forced smile. But James, now stripped of his illusions, began to see through her. The seeds of doubt about the letter's authenticity, initially dismissed in his rage, began to sprout in the fertile ground of his regret and the vast, aching emptiness left by Emily's absence. He cut contact with Margaret, the crushing weight of guilt over his actions towards Emily beginning to consume him from within. At 37 years old, James was a pale, gaunt shadow of his former confident, driven self. He picked up freelance coding jobs, working late into the night on a second-hand laptop in the dim light of his sad apartment. His beard, once neatly trimmed, grew unruly. His eyes were deep-set and hollow from sleepless nights and the constant, tormenting loop of regret playing in his mind. The tech community in Miami, which had once celebrated him as a rising star, now whispered about his downfall. Harper burned out, they'd say at industry events, their casual words like invisible daggers twisting in his wounded pride. He would walk along the beach at South Point Park, the waves crashing against the shore a relentless, powerful sound, and think of Emily. The sound of her laughter, the gentle strength of her touch, the way she had dreamed of a nursery painted with stars, a future filled with light and family. The crushing realization that he might have been completely, terribly wrong, that his blind rage had led him to destroy the most precious thing in his life, began to haunt him relentlessly. But he had no idea where she was, no way to find her, no path back to the life he had so carelessly, so cruelly thrown away. One evening, as a fierce tropical thunderstorm rolled in over Miami, the rain lashing against the windows of his lonely apartment, James sat in the dim light, scrolling through old photos on his phone. He stopped at a picture of Emily at the beach, her wavy brown hair blowing in the wind, her smile radiant and full of life as she held a seashell to her ear, as if listening to the distant roar of the ocean. The memory, sharp and vivid, hit him with the full, crushing force of his loss. And for the first time since that fateful, terrible night, he allowed himself to break down. He cried, deep, wrenching sobs that echoed in the empty, silent space of his apartment, a sound of profound grief and regret. He didn't know it then, lost in his despair, but fate, with its intricate, often unpredictable, and sometimes merciful web, was already weaving a path, bringing him closer to the family he had lost, to the lives he had abandoned in his moment of blind folly. 5 years unfolded, a period of quiet healing and growth in Charleston. The triplets blossomed, growing into vibrant, energetic 5-year-olds, each with a distinct personality. Michael, with his inherited fair skin and straight brown hair, had a sensitive soul and an undeniable knack for drawing. His sketchbooks, filled with colorful depictions of Charleston's historic buildings, its bustling harbor, and the charming details of Sophia's garden. Peter, sharing the same fair complexion and straight locks, remained the adventurous spirit, his energy boundless, his favorite pastime exploring the creeks near Sophia's house or climbing the sturdy oak trees in the neighborhood with fearless abandon. And Lucas, also with fair skin and straight brown hair, was the thoughtful planner, approaching tasks with a seriousness that belied his age, meticulously organizing his toys, his clothes, and even attempting to bring order to his brother's games, with a quiet, determined precision that both amused and impressed Emily. Emily, now 35, had not just survived but thrived in Charleston. She had carved out a modest but fulfilling life. Her landscaping business, Emily's Gardens, had grown from a small operation into a respected local enterprise, designing and installing beautiful, sustainable green spaces for homes, restaurants, and even public parks. Her hands, strong and capable, were a testament to her resilience and hard work. Sophia remained her unwavering rock, her stylish gray bob and warm smile a constant source of support, wisdom, and practical help. Her home continued to be a haven, filled with the laughter and energy of the growing boys, a place where Emily felt safe and loved. In July of 2024, fate intervened in a way neither Emily nor James could have ever predicted, weaving their separate paths back towards each other. Daniel Bennett, Sophia's brother, a seasoned pilot for a private charter company, flew into Miami on a medical transport mission. Among the passengers on board was James, now 40 years old, his face thinner than it used to be, his beard still present but neatly trimmed, his eyes carrying the haunted look of someone who had been through the ringer. He was accompanying a patient in critical condition who needed an urgent liver transplant in Charleston, a pro bono flight James had taken on, seeking purpose and distraction in the wake of his own failures and the gnawing emptiness of his life. During the flight, Daniel, a burly man with a salt-and-pepper beard and Sophia's kind eyes, recognized James from old photos Sophia had shown him years ago, back when James was still married to Emily. Curious about the connection and sensing the quiet, deep sadness in James, he struck up a conversation, mentioning his sister who lived in Charleston. James, his interest piqued by any mention of the city where Emily had disappeared, accepted Daniel's casual invitation to dinner at a local seafood restaurant near Miami International Airport before Daniel's return flight. Over a plate of succulent shrimp and grits, the sounds of soft jazz playing in the background, creating a deceptively relaxed atmosphere, Daniel casually mentioned his sister's best friend. "Yeah, my sister Sophia lives in Charleston. You know, her best friend Emily, Carter, lives there too. She's got 3 boys, triplets. Funny thing, they'd be about 5 years old now, I guess." James froze, his fork halfway to his mouth, his heart hammering against his ribs with a sudden violent intensity. The casual words hit him like a physical blow. "Triplets?" he whispered, the word barely audible, the pieces of the agonizing puzzle finally clicking into place with brutal clarity. Daniel nodded, pulling out his phone to show a photo, a picture of Sophia smiling brightly, standing next to Emily, who was laughing, and gathered around them were 3 boys, their fair skin and straight brown hair utterly unmistakable. "Yeah, they're hers," Daniel confirmed, oblivious to the earthquake he had just unleashed. "She's been raising them alone. In Charleston since her husband, some tech guy in Miami, kicked her out years ago." The full, devastating weight of Daniel's words crashed down on James. He stumbled to his feet, mumbling an apology, and stepped outside into the humid Miami night, his mind reeling, a tempest of guilt, regret, and the shattering realization of the profound, irreversible damage he had done. The next morning, propelled by a desperate urgency and a fragile flicker of hope, James boarded the first flight to Charleston. His palms were sweaty, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs as he clutched a small gift he'd bought at the airport. A set of bright, colorful toy cars, anything he hoped would appeal to little boys he had never known. He arrived at Sophia's warm yellow house just as Emily and the Triplets were returning from an outing to the park. The boys, their energy boundless, in their brightly colored sneakers, ran ahead, their joyful laughter filling the air. Michael carried his ever-present sketchbook, Peter dragged a new kite Sophia had bought them, and Lucas held a small bag filled with leaves he had meticulously collected. Emily, her wavy brown hair tied back in a practical ponytail, froze on the walkway when she saw James standing on the porch. His tanned face, etched with a profound and raw expression of remorse and vulnerability, was a sight she never expected to see again. Sophia, sensing the sudden, intense tension that crackled in the air, quickly and gently ushered the boys inside the house, leaving Emily and James to face each other alone on the threshold of the life they had both lost and rebuilt separately. "Emily, I was wrong," James began, his voice thick with emotion, years of pent-up guilt and regret finally spilling out. "About everything. I found out. It was my mother. She forged the letter. It was a lie, a cruel, terrible lie. I've been a fool, a complete and utter fool, and I've lost everything because of it. TechFlow failed. I failed at everything I touched. But the absolute worst thing I did was abandon you, not protect you, not believe you." Tears welled up in Emily's brown eyes, her hands trembling as she listened to the words that both validated her truth and ripped open old wounds. "You left me, James," she whispered, her voice raw with pain and years of suppressed hurt. "I was 7 months pregnant with your children, alone, and you didn't even let me explain. You just believed a piece of paper over me." He took a hesitant step closer, his eyes pleading for an understanding he knew he didn't deserve. "I know. I don't deserve forgiveness. I know that. I can never, ever undo the pain I caused, but I want to be a father to them, to Michael, Peter, and Lucas. They're my sons. Please, Em, let me try. Let me try to make amends. Let me prove that I've changed, that I'm not the man who walked away that night." Emily, her heart a battlefield of past pain and a faint, almost imperceptible flicker of hope for a different future, finally agreed to let him meet the boys, but she made it unequivocally clear that it would be under her strict supervision, on her terms, and that trust, if it were to be rebuilt at all, would be a long, arduous process earned one step at a time. The first meeting with the Triplets was held at the playground near Sophia's house. The bright, cheerful environment of swings, slides, and sandboxes felt like a surreal backdrop for the weighty emotions at play. Michael, Peter, and Lucas, aged 5, eyed James with a mixture of caution and innocent curiosity. Their fair skin glowed under the warm morning sun, their straight brown hair ruffled by the gentle breeze off the harbor. Michael clutched his ever-present sketchbook like a shield. Peter stayed physically close to Emily's side, his small hand holding hers tightly, and Lucas, the thoughtful, pragmatic one, voiced the question that cut through James's carefully constructed defenses and went straight to his heart. "Are you staying?" Lucas asked, his voice small but clear, looking directly at James. "Or are you leaving again?" The question, so simple, so direct, so loaded with the fear of a child who had known only his mother's presence, broke James's heart all over again. He knelt down to their level, his knees pressing into the soft mulch under the swings. His voice was soft, thick with emotion that threatened to overwhelm him. "I'm here to stay," he said, looking into each of their young faces. If you will let me." He held out the set of bright toy cars. The boys hesitated for a long moment, their eyes shifting between the toys. James's face and their mother's. Watchful gaze. But the inherent curiosity of 5-year-olds, coupled with the simple appeal of new toys, eventually won over their cautious fear. They tentatively accepted the cars, their small hands exploring the smooth plastic and the rolling wheels, with an initial hesitation that gradually gave way to hesitant engagement. In the months that followed, James became a regular, predictable presence in Charleston. He drove up from Miami every weekend, having taken a job at a smaller, less demanding tech firm that allowed him more flexibility. He arrived laden with thoughtful gifts for each boy, more drawing supplies for Michael, a new, larger kite for Peter, a small calculator and science experiment kit for Lucas. He joined them for picnics in the park, trips to the Charleston Aquarium, where Peter was wide-eyed with wonder at the sharks, and Lucas meticulously read every single exhibit sign, and quiet afternoons building with Legos on the living room floor. Rebuilding trust, however, was far from easy. It was a slow, painstaking process, marked by small victories and occasional setbacks. James, accustomed to the fast-paced, controlled environment of the tech world, sometimes struggled with the unpredictable, messy reality of life with 3 active young children. There were moments of frustration, misunderstandings, and the lingering echoes of the past. Days when Michael, feeling shy or uncertain, refused to show James his latest drawings. Moments when Peter, in a burst of independence, would actively avoid James's attempts to engage him in a game. Times when Lucas, with his sharp, logical mind, would question a decision James made, his directness unintentionally highlighting James's past absence. Emily observed these interactions closely, her heart a complex mix of hope, caution, and residual pain. She saw James's genuine effort, his newfound patience, his willingness to learn and adapt. His anger, once a dominant force, seemed to have been replaced by a quiet humility and a deep desire to make amends. But she also had to step in sometimes, mediating small conflicts, reminding James of the boy's need for consistency and reassurance, and reinforcing that rebuilding a family foundation took time and unwavering commitment. These small daily obstacles were tests, not just for James, but for the family as a whole, challenges they had to navigate together. James felt the weight of having to earn each step, each hesitant smile from his sons, each look of tentative trust from Emily. It wasn't easy, but with every small breakthrough, a shared laugh, a hand held, a question answered patiently, the bond between James and his sons, and between James and Emily, began to strengthen, piece by careful piece. One evening, as they sat on Sophia's porch, the warm air thick with the scent of jasmine from Emily's garden, watching the boys play in the deepening twilight, Emily finally voiced the thought that had been growing in her heart. "If you are truly serious about this, James," she said, her voice quiet but firm, "about being here, about being a father, about us, prove it. Don't just visit. Stay. Help us build something new here together. Not just visit the life we've built, but be a part of building the life we will have." He nodded. His eyes, no longer haunted, filled with a resolute determination. His beard, now neatly trimmed, framed a face that had seen hardship but also found hope. "I will, Em," he said, his voice steady and clear. "I promise I'll stay. I'll spend the rest of my life proving that I am the man you deserve and the father our sons need. I'll help you build whatever future you dream of. Together." In early 2025, the family made a bold, pivotal decision. It was time to return to Miami. Not to the past, but to face it head-on and build a new future on familiar ground. It was a symbolic move, a way for James to confront the place of his failure and for the family to create new memories in the city, where their story had both begun and fractured. They found a modest house near Coconut Grove, a far cry from Margaret's sprawling mansion, but a two-story fixer-upper with good bones and a small backyard, full of potential and in need of significant work. The house, nestled among the sprawling, leafy banyan trees and imbued with the laid-back, artistic vibe of the neighborhood, became their new beginning, a literal blank canvas upon which to paint the vibrant hues of their rebuilt life. Emily resumed her landscaping work, but with a renewed sense of purpose and creativity. She began designing urban gardens for local cafes, sustainable green roofs for small businesses, and community gardens that brought patches of nature to the urban landscape. Her hands, strong and capable, were often stained with earth as she planted vibrant hibiscus, fragrant jasmine, and resilient native plants. There was a deep, quiet satisfaction in creating beauty and life from the soil, a reflection of her own journey of growth and resilience. James secured a full-time remote position with a reputable tech firm, his coding skills slowly rebuilding his professional confidence, one successful project at a time. He was present, engaged, and committed, his work now a means to support his family, not an all-consuming ambition. The triplets, now 6 years old, adjusted to the change, their fair skin and straight brown hair a constant living reminder of their mixed heritage, a bridge between the two cities and the two parts of their parents' story. Michael embraced the new environment by filling his sketchbooks with colorful drawings of the Miami skyline, the bay, and the unique flora of Coconut Grove. Peter, the adventurer, immediately claimed the backyard as his personal exploration zone, building forts, small ones, and creating imaginary worlds among the bushes. And Lucas, with his characteristic precision, helped unpack and organize, creating detailed maps of the house and setting up the toy room with meticulous care. The family dynamic was a beautiful, sometimes messy, constant learning process. James was actively involved in the daily routines, helping with homework, reading bedtime stories, cheering at soccer practices. Emily and he navigated the complexities of co-parenting, making decisions, together, supporting each other. There were still moments when the shadow of the past loomed, small disagreements that required patience and open communication. But the foundation of trust, so painstakingly rebuilt, held firm. The love that had been shattered was not just repaired, but strengthened, filled with the resilience of having survived the storm. On March 15, 2025, the triplets' 6th birthday, Emily and James chose to mark their renewed commitment with a ceremony in the sunny backyard of their Coconut Grove home. It wasn't a grand affair like a first wedding, but something more profound, more meaningful. A simple wooden archway, adorned with jasmine vines that Emily had carefully cultivated in the backyard, framed the space where they stood. A small gathering of their closest friends and family witnessed their vows. Sophia, of course, her stylish gray bob catching the sunlight, her blue dress a cheerful nod to their coastal roots, officiating with a warmth that filled the space. "You both have been through immense trials," Sophia said, her voice steady and full of emotion. "You faced darkness, loss, and the difficult path of forgiveness. But true love, the kind that is forged in hardship and built on honesty and resilience, has brought you back to each other. Let this moment be the celebration of your journey, a testament to your strength and the cornerstone of your new beginning, built not on a promise of perfection, but on a foundation of truth, perseverance, and unwavering love." Emily, radiant, in a simple white lace dress, her wavy brown hair softly pinned and adorned with wildflowers she had gathered from the garden, held James's hands, her brown eyes shining with unshed tears of joy and a profound sense of hope. James, dressed in a light gray suit with an open-collared shirt, looked at her with a love that was deeper, more knowing than before. A love that had been broken, tested, and rebuilt brick by painstaking brick. "I lost you once because of my own blindness and foolishness," he said, his voice steady but thick with emotion, looking into her eyes. That was the greatest failure of my life. But I promise you now, before our children and the people we love, that I will spend the rest of my life honoring you, cherishing you, and making it right. I will be the partner you deserve and the father our sons need. I will never walk away again. Michael, Peter, and Lucas, dressed in matching white shirts and khaki shorts, ran joyfully around the archway, tossing handfuls of flower petals they had eagerly collected from the garden, their childish laughter a pure, happy melody that filled the air. Margaret, now 65, was also present. Her gray bun was noticeably softer, her posture less rigid, her face etched with a quiet humility born from years of solitude and reflection on the pain she had caused. She watched her grandsons play with a gentle, wistful expression, a stark contrast to the cold observer she had once been. She had brought a beautiful bouquet of roses as an offering of peace, a silent plea for forgiveness. "I was wrong, Emily," she admitted to Emily later, her voice low and sincere, the words heavy with the weight of years of regret. "Terribly wrong. I hope, perhaps someday, you can find it in your heart to forgive me." Emily nodded, her heart too full of gratitude and the joy of the moment to hold on to anger, but trust with Margaret, she knew, would be a fragile thing, rebuilt slowly, if at all. That evening, as the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky over the palm trees in hues of orange and purple, the family danced in the backyard to a lively playlist of jazz and classic Motown. The triplets spun in joyful circles, their energy boundless, while James twirled Emily under the soft, romantic glow of the string lights they had hung. Sophia clapped along, her gray eyes a little misty, witnessing the beautiful, messy reality of the family she had helped hold together. Margaret sat quietly on a garden bench, observing the family she had nearly destroyed. The scene before her, a bittersweet mix of overwhelming joy and lingering remorse. The night ended with the boys finally succumbing to exhaustion, falling asleep in a contented pile of blankets on the cool grass, their fair skin glowing softly under the moonlight, their straight brown hair tousled from hours of play and laughter. Emily and James sat on the porch steps, her head resting on his shoulder, their hands tightly intertwined, a simple gesture that spoke volumes of their rebuilt connection. "We made it through the storm, James," she whispered, a quiet affirmation of their journey. He kissed her forehead, his beard brushing her skin. "We did, Em, we did, and we'll keep building together." The following year brought a new and precious blessing into the Harper family's life, a baby girl. Anna Harper arrived on April 10th, 2026, a tiny bundle with fair skin, sweet, rosy cheeks, and a wispy curl of straight brown hair. Her initial cries quickly gave way to infectious giggles that became the cherished soundtrack of the Coconut Grove house, adding a new layer of joy and sweetness to their already full lives. The triplets, now 7 years old, were utterly smitten with their baby sister, doting on her with a fierce, protective devotion. They gently competed for the chance to push her stroller in the backyard or show her their favorite toys. Michael, the artist, drew her countless pictures. Peter, the adventurer, made her giggle with his silly faces and playful antics. And Lucas, the organized one, meticulously helped with Anna's feeding and nap schedule, proudly declaring to anyone who would, "Listen, I'm the best big brother." Emily and James marveled at their growing family, at the ease with which their sons embraced their sister, feeling the last vestiges of past pain slowly receding under the overwhelming warmth and light of their new, complete life together. House, once a fixer-upper project, was now truly a home, filled with love, laughter, and the cheerful noise of 4 happy children. Inspired by the boundless creativity of the triplets, Emily's deep passion for sustainability, and his own renewed sense of purpose after the failure of TechFlow, James proposed a new venture. "What if we started a tech company, Em?" he suggested one evening, his laptop open to a document filled with initial ideas, but one that's focused on something meaningful, on green solutions, on using technology to make a real difference in the world? Emily, curled up on the sofa with a cup of herbal tea, nodded thoughtfully. It could work, James, she agreed, her eyes meeting his, a look of shared vision passing between them. It feels right, but we need to be careful. TechFlow was a hard lesson. It hurt you, and it hurt us. We can't make the same mistakes. If we do this, we do it together, as equal partners, supporting each other, 100%, or not at all. They sealed the agreement with a firm handshake, a pact built on mutual trust, shared values, and a commitment to partnership. They named the company Green Tech Innovations, an ambitious startup aimed at developing solar-powered devices and user-friendly, eco-friendly apps for modern urban living. The early days of Green Tech Innovations were challenging. James's reputation from the TechFlow failure preceded him, casting a long shadow and making investors hesitant to gamble on his new venture. Funding was tight, and progress was slow. Emily stepped up, taking on even more demanding landscaping projects, designing elaborate rooftop gardens for Miami high-rises, implementing water-saving irrigation systems for large properties, to help fund their initial prototypes and keep the lights on. Her hands, strong and capable, were a physical testament to her tireless work and unwavering belief in their shared vision. But the triplets, now 8 years old, became integral to the green tech journey in unexpected ways. Michael, the artist, designed a vibrant, memorable logo featuring a stylized green leaf that perfectly captured the company's ethos. Peter, the adventurer, enthusiastically tested solar-powered garden lights and small devices in the backyard, providing valuable feedback on durability and functionality. And Lucas, the organizer, helped manage inventory of components and created detailed, color-coded schedules for their family brainstorming sessions, which often took place around the kitchen table. Anna, now 2 and confidently toddling around, would often wander into these sessions, her rosy cheeks glowing, and clap her little hands at every small success, her presence a constant, joyful reminder of the future they were building for their children. In 2027, Green Tech Innovations reached a crucial turning point that signaled a shift in their fortunes. James successfully developed an innovative app designed to help cities track and reduce their carbon footprints, providing valuable data and actionable insights. Simultaneously, drawing on Emily's extensive expertise in horticulture and landscape design, they developed a line of smart solar-powered garden sensors that optimized water usage based on soil conditions and weather forecasts. A perfect blend of technology and nature. A compelling pitch to a Charleston-based investment firm, facilitated by Sophia's enduring connections in the South and her enthusiastic endorsement of Green Tech's mission, resulted in a significant $500,000 contract. This initial contract was to implement the carbon tracking app in local schools across the Charleston area, a pilot project with enormous potential for expansion. The success of securing this contract marked a profound rebirth for James. His public failure with TechFlow, which had haunted him for years, began to recede into the past, replaced by a newfound confidence and validation. Emily, watching him present at a regional tech conference in Miami with a calm confidence and clear vision, felt a surge of overwhelming pride, not just in his professional success, but in the man he had become. "We did it, Em," he whispered, to her backstage, his tanned face beaming with satisfaction and relief. She smiled, her brown eyes reflecting the stage lights, her hand finding his. Together, James. Always together now. The family celebrated Green Tech's initial success with a lively backyard barbecue at their Coconut Grove home. The backyard, once a simple space, had been transformed by Emily's touch into a vibrant, welcoming area perfect for gatherings, complete With string lights woven through the trees, a long picnic table covered in a cheerful checkered cloth, and a grill sizzling with the delicious aroma of burgers and hot dogs. Sophia, now 55, her stylish gray bob catching the warm glow of the setting sun, her blue dress swaying gently in the evening breeze, raised a glass of sweet tea in a toast. "To family, to resilience, and to the future," she exclaimed, her voice full of warmth and genuine affection. "Emily, James, you took pain and turned it into purpose, failure into a foundation for something incredible. Michael, Peter, Lucas, Anna, you are the heart of it all, the reason for the fight, the joy of the victory. Here's to more successes, both in business and in life." The triplets, now 12 years old, their fair skin with a subtle tan from days spent outdoors and their straight brown hair shining under the evening light, cheered, their voices mingling with the happy giggles of Anna, who was now 4 and clapping her tiny hands, her pink dress dotted with crumbs from a cupcake she was eagerly devouring. The barbecue was more than just a celebration of a business milestone. It was a profound moment of joy that solidified their bond as a family. Friends and neighbors from Coconut Grove joined in, the air filled with laughter, conversation, and the cheerful sound of a local jazz band playing softly in the background. Margaret, now a more regular and, importantly, a welcomed presence in their family life, brought a homemade pie, her gray bun looser, her smile genuine as she patiently played with Anna, who tugged at her skirt without a hint of fear. The triplets ran around the yard, their energy boundless. Michael proudly showed off a new sketchbook filled with complex drawings. Peter excitedly flew a new kite high into the evening sky. And Lucas, ever the organizer, gathered neighborhood kids to set up and manage a game of tag with meticulous rules. Emily and James sat together on a garden bench, watching their family, their hands clasped tightly. "We've come so far, James," Emily said, her voice soft with wonder and gratitude. James nodded, his beard brushing her cheek as he leaned in to kiss her. "And we're just getting started, building this together." GreenTech's next major milestone came in 2029 when they expanded their operations to Seattle, Washington, a city renowned for its thriving tech scene and its strong eco-conscious ethos. The family traveled together, embracing the experience of exploring a new city, even braving a rare snowstorm that blanketed the city in white, a novel and exciting experience for the Florida-raised children. In a sleek office overlooking the misty, beautiful Puget Sound, Emily and James, now seasoned partners in both life and business, negotiated a transformative deal with a major technology firm. The contract was to integrate GreenTech's carbon tracking app into smart city infrastructure projects across the entire West Coast. Emily, dressed in a sharp beige blazer and a practical gray sweater, presented their vision with quiet confidence and deep knowledge, her wavy brown hair pulled back into a neat, professional bun. James, in a navy sweater and gray slacks, supported her presentation with compelling data and technical insights, his tanned face glowing with pride as he watched his wife, his partner, shine. The contract, valued at a significant $2 million, cemented GreenTech Innovations as a leader in the burgeoning field of sustainable technology, a trajectory a million miles away from the ashes of the TechFlow failure. The years that followed were a tapestry woven with countless family moments and professional achievements, each one a testament to the Harpers' enduring resilience, their unwavering love, and their commitment to building a meaningful life and legacy. On a sunny afternoon in 2030, the Harpers visited Folly Beach near Charleston, a tradition they had started after Anna's birth, a pilgrimage back to their southern roots that brought them a profound sense of peace and continuity. The triplets, now 12, Their fair skin with a healthy tan from days spent enjoying the outdoors, and their straight brown hair catching the sunlight played effortlessly in the sand, their young laughter echoing over the rhythmic crash of the waves. Michael, the budding artist, built an elaborate, detailed sand castle, his hands steady and skilled as he sculpted towers, walls, and a moat. Peter, the adventurer, ran along the shore, flying a colorful kite high into the breezy sky, its tail dancing wildly. And Lucas, the planner, meticulously organized a picnic on a large blanket spread on the sand, carefully arranging sandwiches, fruit, and lemonade with his characteristic precision. Anna, now 4 years old, her rosy cheeks glowing with health and happiness, toddled fearlessly towards the water's edge, her pink swimsuit speckled with sand as she splashed in the shallow waves, her straight brown hair tied in 2 cheerful pigtails. Emily, wearing a light, flowing yellow sundress and a wide-brimmed straw hat, sat on the blanket, watching her family with a smile that radiated deep contentment and gratitude. James, in a comfortable light blue linen shirt and khaki shorts, joined her, his tanned face relaxed and happy as he tossed a frisbee to Michael, who expertly caught it. "Look at them, Em," he said, his voice filled with a quiet awe and a hint of the pain of what could have been lost. All of this. We almost lost all of this. She leaned against him, her brown eyes soft as she surveyed the scene of their family, whole and happy on the beach. "But we didn't, James," she replied, her voice firm yet gentle. "We didn't. We fought for it. We rebuilt it, together." The beach day, filled with the familiar salty scent of the sea, the cries of the seagulls, and the warm comfort of family, was a moment of profound peace, a tangible reminder of the long, challenging journey they had traveled, from the painful sudden abandonment in Miami to the quiet-rooted triumph of finding their way back to each other and building something even stronger than before. Christmas that year was a magical affair, celebrated in the warm, festive atmosphere of their Coconut Grove home. The family decorated the towering Christmas tree together, its branches adorned with a collection of ornaments that told the story of their years. Handmade creations the triplets had made at school, carefully preserved treasures from their time in Charleston, and new ornaments added since Anna's arrival. There were paper stars cut by Michael, colorful ribbon garlands woven by Peter, and strings of lights perfectly spaced thanks to Lucas's meticulous approach. Anna, dressed in a festive red dress, happily toddled around the tree, her pigtails bouncing as she carefully placed a tiny angel ornament on the lowest branch, her rosy cheeks glowing with childish excitement. James, looking at the beautifully lit tree and the faces of his family gathered around it, reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. "From a mistake," he said, his voice deep with emotion, looking at Emily, then at their children. "From darkness, from what felt like the end. We built this. A family. A legacy. Something stronger, more beautiful, and more meaningful than I ever could have imagined in my ambition before." Emily, her wavy brown hair catching the warm glow of the tree lights, smiled, her brown eyes a little misty with emotion. "The mistake led us to the truth, James," she said, her voice soft. "The truth about who we were, who we could be, and who we needed to be for each other. And now, because of that truth, we have forever." By 2031, Green Tech Innovations had not only become a recognized name, but a respected leader in the sustainable technology industry. Their innovative solar-powered devices and user-friendly eco-apps were being adopted by cities and communities across the United States, making a tangible impact on environmental efforts. The story of the Harper family, of professional failure, and personal abandonment leading to redemption, resilience, and shared success became widely known, inspiring many in the tech community in Miami and far beyond. They were invited to be keynote speakers, at a major national sustainability conference in San Francisco, a testament to their influence and the power of their story. Emily and James stood together on stage, hand in hand, the living embodiment of their shared journey and their partnership. They told their story with honesty and vulnerability. James's crushing failure with TechFlow, the painful lessons learned. Emily's quiet, indomitable resilience as a single mother navigating unimaginable hardship, and their united rise with GreenTech, a company built not just on smart technology, but on shared values, mutual respect, and an unshakable commitment to each other and the planet. The Triplets, now 13 years old, sat proudly in the front row, their fair skin and straight brown hair a visible testament to their mixed heritage and the unique story that was theirs, their faces beaming with pride for their parents. Anna, aged 5, clapped enthusiastically from Sophia's lap, her rosy cheeks still adorably round, her pigtails tied with green ribbons to match the company's colors, already absorbing the lessons of resilience and partnership demonstrated by her family. The conference ended with a heartfelt standing ovation, a culminating moment that encapsulated not just their professional success and their contribution to a better future, but the validation of their long, arduous, and ultimately triumphant personal journey. Back in Miami, the family celebrated with a quiet, intimate dinner at home, the table set with Emily's favorite comforting dishes, shrimp and grits, warm cornbread, and a tangy key lime pie. Sophia, now 56, her stylish gray bob still, perfectly in place. Her blue dress a fond, familiar nod to their shared coastal roots, raised her glass of sweet tea in a final toast. "You've built more than an incredible company, Emily and James," Sophia said, her voice full of warmth, pride, and genuine affection. "You've built a legacy of love, of forgiveness, of perseverance, and of hope. You have shown what is possible when people face their darkest moments, learn from their mistakes, and choose to rebuild together. Your story will inspire everyone who hears it." Margaret, now 72, her gray bun softer than it used to be, her pale face marked, not by manipulation, but by years of quiet reflection and sincere regret, nodded in agreement. "I'm proud of you both," she said, her voice a little shaky but heartfelt and sincere, a distant echo of the woman who had once tried to tear them apart. As the night drew to a close, the gentle sounds of crickets filling the warm Miami air, Emily and James sat together on the porch steps, the Triplets and Anna long since asleep inside, nestled safely in their beds. The Miami skyline glowed in the distance, a constant, sparkling reminder of where their story had begun, the place of pain and loss, and yet also the place where they had found their way back to each other and built a new, stronger future. "We made it through the storm, James," Emily said softly, her brown eyes reflecting the countless stars that had begun to appear in the night sky. James, his tanned face softened by time, by trials overcome, and by the deep peace he had finally found, squeezed her hand, a simple gesture that spoke volumes about the depth of their bond, a connection forged in fire and rebuilt with love. "And we'll keep building, Em," he replied, his voice a promise, "always together, for them, for us, for the future." Their journey, from a single forged letter and a painful misunderstanding that led to devastating loss in Miami, to a technological and personal triumph that spanned the United States, touching lives and building a better future, was a living, breathing testament to the enduring power of love, the unbreakable strength of family, and the remarkable human capacity to forgive, to rebuild, and to flourish, creating a legacy that would live on not only in their children and in their company, but in the countless lives they would touch and inspire along the way.